As the great Reverend Langstroth said, "He must be blind indeed who will not see at every step in the natural history of this insect the plainest proofs of the wisdom of its creator." Alright, this is more old footage from back in May. This is the first time we entered our beehive, the swarm we'd caught the 10 days prior. So we are trying out our new shiny smoker. We got new fancy white beekeeping gloves, netted hat there. This is what was recommended to me by the beekeeping supply store. This is really all it takes to get started. You don't have to have a full suit. It's kind of funny watching this because you see just in a few months how far you can come. There's not a whole lot of smoke required on a swarm. This swarm, I've since learned that swarms are pretty docile. They fill themselves up with honey before they leave their mother hive. So they're full of honey and kind of feeling lazy, and they just got other things to do with their energy than come chasing after you. The black thing here on the left side of the stack of pallets, that's a pro feeder, an in-hive feeder that takes the place of 2 frames inside the hive. You fill it with sugar syrup, which is 1-to-1 sugar to water ratio. A gallon of water is 8 pounds, so you mix it with 8 pounds of sugar, gives you over a gallon of syrup. You fill it in that feeder. That's what, like a swarm or a small amount of bees, you got to feed them to stimulate brood rearing and encourage comb building, so they'll draw out combs. Because looking in this hive here, this is an 8-frame hive. The 3 older looking ones, those are the ones that my neighbor gave me. Those have drawn comb. But the other 4 frames that's in there just got black foundation. There's no drawn comb, and the bees got to draw that out before the queen can start using that for brood rearing, or they can start using it for honey storage. So there's no honey in this hive. There's no pollen in this hive because the bees had just been installed in this. They're eating the sugar syrup to survive, and once they start getting their numbers up, once the queen starts laying, then they'll have foragers. The older bees are the foragers. They'll go out and bring in pollen and nectar, turn the nectar into honey. Then after you have a hive with a larger number of bees, you can stop feeding the sugar syrup. So that's what I'm doing here. It's like I'm getting ready to start inspecting the like I said, those first 2 frames could just be pulled out. They're just going to have black foundation. Here in a second you'll see that. The smoke calms bees, supposed to relax them. As you can see there, that's black foundation. Them bees had started drawing on that comb. Just got their first little comb drawn on that foundation there. So this frame here would have been one that we had given to us. It's going to have drawn comb on it somewhere for the queen to go ahead and start laying. From what I've read and heard, it's extremely difficult to get a swarm or a small group of bees to stay in a hive if you would just put them in there with all foundation. They would have nothing to lay in. It would just take too much energy. They would probably swarm out of this hive, try to go find another place. If you didn't have drawn comb, at least 2 or 3 frames of it, the bees wouldn't have time to draw it out. They would have the nectar, the resources to draw out the comb before their lifespan's over. Bees Average lifespan's only 45 days. So there's got to be a nectar flow for one, or they could use sugar syrup to build comb. But they just wouldn't have time, so they need some drawn comb. It puts them way ahead of the game. Drawn comb is probably the second most valuable resource that a beekeeper has, other than the bees themselves. You got to have drawn comb on hand. In fact, I would recommend to any beginner, if you're going to start with a swarm like this, is try to find somebody that would sell you a few frames of drawn comb. You know, if you buy a nuke from a bee supplier, the nuke's going to come with drawn comb. Here I'm just pushing all the frames back together. You don't want to leave any gaps. The frames are made with proper bee space, which is around 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch, I think it is what they consider proper bee space. And in case you're fearing getting in a beehive, old Daniel Boone said, "Fear's the spice that makes it interesting to go ahead." Thanks for watching. God bless, and we will see you on the next exciting episode of beekeeping here at the Sawyer Family Farm.